Welcome to the Writer's Room again. This is April Yvette Thompson. I am the Director of Development for Simon Says Entertainment. We are the producers of several films, Sundance films you can find on Netflix, Blue Caprice, Mother of George, Night Catches Us, Gun Home Road. I'm also an actor and a playwright. And in my role as Director of Development for Simon Says, I vet new projects, meaning I look at the script, but also the viability of all the other parts of a project that need to be in place in order for a producer to raise money. And right now, you can go to our website and you can learn lots of things about what we look for in a submissions process just by filling out the submissions form. The website is simonsaysentertainment.com. And these are things to think about once you've finished a script. Maybe it's a second or third draft, right? But you know the world of the script, right? You know the genre, you have actors in mind that you want to attach, or you already have them attached. You have it down to the particular budget. So your budget is less than $1 million. You know you got a 90-page script, right? So whatever the requirements of the genre, your script is meeting that at this point. And you have a budget. So you're in those beginning stages of strategically figuring out how to get produced. This is true of screenplays as well as plays. And the next logical step is to get your work seen by decision makers, right? Because decision makers in any industry talk to people who produce, right? And they say, this is a really great project, right? And decision makers mean script doctors, huge executive producers, writers with huge credits, people who sit on boards of developmental labs are decision makers, right? And those folks become your mentors in the process. So every time you see a movie that's made it to Sundance or made it to, Focus or the Weinsteins, whatever, it's been through a lot of development. Lots of people have given notes and helped rework that project to get it ready, right? So the more opportunities you create for yourself to be with decision makers in a workshop process, the better your script will become. But you also then begin to create allies for your work. And it is those allies that make getting a script produced possible. They speak up, and most, labs, grants, most people want to know, where has the script been and who says it's good? Right? We need a review, especially if you're an untried filmmaker. If you've never made anything, this stuff is super crucial. Even if you have made stuff before, this is crucial. You need mentors in the industry. And the best way to get mentors is, one, to pay them to look at your script and give you notes. That's a great way. But make sure the person that you're paying has done the kind of work that you want to do successfully, right? If they're at the same level that you're at, they can't help you. But if they're a few steps ahead, they can really help you, right? Because it's only a few steps, right? What they've learned, they've only learned in the last 5 years. It's still fresh in their memory. They can teach it to you. As opposed to, Mr. Soderbergh, right? He's way ahead of all of us, right? So we're not going to ask him for notes, but we are going to ask folks who are doing the kind of work we want to do that are reachable for us, right? Mid-career artists, not their first project. And look at the body, their oeuvre of work, right? If their oeuvre of work speaks to your work, then that's a great mentor, and you should target them and find a way to work with them. If their body of work is nothing like what you are writing, they can give you some general notes. But in terms of getting produced, you get produced because of who you know, right? And so folks who work together know what their aesthetic tastes are. This DP does that. That director likes to do that. This investor likes films that look like this, right? 90 minutes, family drama, driven, simple locations, really the traditional Sundance film, right? So decision makers are people who've done what you've done, and they can lead you to contacts that can help you get produced, right? And when somebody in a lab gives you notes on a script, in a subconscious way, they are now a part of making the story successful. And it will always be in their memory, right? And your script will come around again. It totally will. I had some great questions about getting produced. Really, really great ones. How do you attach a movie star? And how do you How do you get produced? Does this, the number of sets or the number of locations or the number of characters, how does that impact getting produced? What are the other questions? Oh, there were so many questions you guys gave me on the blog, and I did my best to answer them. What a lookbook looks like. And this has been great for me, getting those questions, because what it does in the forming of this class that's going to be announced at the end of August, that I've been working on for 2 years, it's helped me fine tune, you know, the second half of day one, right? It's a 16-hour class. We're going to go away for a weekend and we're going to kill it and we're going to finish it and we're going to end up with packets, right? Like all these questions that you've always asked about. One, how do I finish it? And then when I finished it, how do I make it look good to get it produced? We're going to deal with that in this class. And all of the questions that I'm getting now are going to be tackled directly in this class. So in a sense, I'm creating a class based on what you want to know about, because I think that's the best kind of teaching, right? If there's stuff that you're not interested in knowing about right now, that's totally fine, right? You'll learn it later. But right now, what do you need to get started, right? And I'm designing a class to respond directly to my audience of fellow artists here in New York City and in LA and in Toronto who I've worked with, are familiar with our work at Simon Says, or who's worked with me as an actor or a writer or been in one of my plays. I have a lot of clients like that. And so I really want to shape the class now that there is a body of folks who have some experience writing, who are part of my world, and I want to share the benefits of my experience of being a producer, both a Broadway producer and independent film producer. At Simon Says, we also produced the all-black version of A Streetcar Named Desire, starring Blair Underwood, and we also produced Porgy and Bess, the Tony-winning version of Porgy and Bess, starring Audra McDonald, and she won the Tony as well. So we've stumbled around in the dark. And I hear from my fellow artists, oh my God, how do you do that? How'd you do that? You must be a whiz. You're not. No. If anybody saw the Tonys when we got the award, we totally didn't expect it. It was kind of like this helter-skelter run to get the award. We learned by doing, but we also learned by creating mentors and going to them and asking them. And when they didn't have enough time, you offered to pay people, because successful people are super, 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 super busy. Right? My work is always gone before script doctors. When we take on a script, in many ways, I act as a script doctor as well. And we do coaching and things like that through Simon Says. And in this class, I would like to sort of synchronize all that into something tighter, that by the end of 16 hours, you can walk away with a definite outline of where your script is and where it needs to be, and then how to get produced, what is the very next step, and what's the last step, right? That I can do in 16 hours. What I can do now is begin to answer some of those questions that are plaguing people, that's stopping them, right? And I'm going to do that in this video and in the next video when you're stuck in the middle of the script. Right now, I'm going to talk about getting produced, right? How do you know when a script is production ready? And it better be production ready before you start contacting the agents of movie stars and trying to attach them and asking for a legal attachment so you can raise money for the movie or the film or the play, right? Where has it been developed? If it's just been passed around to people that you know who are very, very smart but have not made the kind of play or movie you want to make, they can't help you get produced, because their A-OK on your script doesn't carry the weight of someone who's actually doing what you want to be doing, right? So who is it? Is it Jonathan Demme? Is it that kind of work? Is it Spike Lee? Is it Lee Daniels? Is it, I don't know, take your pick, right? What I love Clint Eastwood's directing, actually. It's character driven. It's really, I think it's gorgeous. But figure out what your writing feels like. You don't even need to know the technical terms at this point. This is one of the things that we look for in our submissions process, is what's your log line? If your log line is longer than 2 sentences, it tells me that this is a developmental play and not ready for production. Your log line is your commercial. It's what's going to appear in the trailer. It's what's going to appear all over the posters, all over the world, all the commercials. It is what is going to drag people in. And marketing language, which is all a log line is about a tweet. right? We've grown accustomed to getting a ton of information in the length of a tweet. So think of your log line in the length of a tweet. If it's more than that, it means you don't really know what it is that you've written and how to sell it. And as the writer of it, the idea of being just an artist these days, that's gone. We're all artist entrepreneurs, right? When you're writing to think, where do I want to land? And if you're not doing that, then you're already writing at a disadvantage, because it means in the writing you're not creating the proper structure. I went to see tons of solo plays before I wrote mine. I always knew, since I saw Whoopi Goldberg's first solo show on Broadway, I was like, that's what I'm doing. I was an undergrad. I didn't even know I was going to get a master's degree in acting. I had no idea. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then it's going to be at the Public or New York Theater Workshop. This was my junior year of college. I had no idea how any of that was going to happen. It didn't matter. Because in setting that goal, what it did was to force me to make decisions and seek out allies who could get me closer to those goals, right? That solved a lot of problems. Like, when you finish school, are you going to move to the West Coast? Of course not. I've already said I'm going to do a solo show that's going to be at the Public or New York Theater Workshop. So that's decided. Okay, great. Are you going to live in Brooklyn, or you take that apartment in Manhattan? Well, the theaters you want to get produced at are in Manhattan. All right, so you're going to take the apartment in Manhattan, right? It clears up a lot of decisions, right? The second thing I did was go see plays at these places. I went ad nauseum. I saw everything in a season, even if I had to usher. I knew what kind of play would speak to each of these theaters before I started writing a play. And I had never written anything. So if one of your objections to taking this class is that you've never written anything, that's bullshit. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you that. Because what is involved is the will to learn, not the exact skill set. It's the setting of the goal so clearly in your mind, and then learning what the steps are to get you to that. And some of those steps are self-explanatory. And in setting a goal, it has to be completely within your power to make happen. At least the steps to making it happen are completely within your power. And let me tell you, I took auditions from directors and playwrights who had worked at the theaters I wanted to work at. Those were basically the only auditions I went on out of grad school. That was strategic, right? I found a way to be doing readings at the Public and at New York Theater Workshop. Other people call me for readings. I'm like, I want my solo show to be in these two theaters. Now, I hadn't written anything yet. I didn't even know what I was going to write about. But it was so clear in my mind where I was going that I started going to the places that would get me closer to those two theaters, right? I started go, oh, well, okay, so this play got produced this season. Where was that workshop? Where was that developed? Oh, at the Lark? Okay, I'm going to start volunteering at the Lark. It all sort of intermeshed, right? So that when I finally did get a reading of this play and got it produced, this is 10 years later, what had happened is everybody that I'd met in that first year out of graduate school were picking up the phone and making things happen for me. Because that's what I spent those years doing. Building those relationships and learning how to work. Becoming a producer was exactly the same way. I mean, as a playwright, I was an actor all this time, and I then workshopped this play called The Exonerated because I liked political documentary theater. I knew I wanted my world to be like that. I learned how to write by workshopping that play for bagels and orange juice for 1.5 years. I love you guys, but that is what they paid us. But for 1.5 years, and I learned how to write. I really did. I learned how to make the kind of play that I wanted to make. And I learned how to make the kind of play that politically felt close to me and that I also knew would appeal to my targets, right? Making a Sundance film is exactly the same thing. And when you don't know something, the best way to get produced is to ask somebody who has done it. If you don't remember anything else today, ask somebody who has done it, right? And never ever believe that what other people think you're capable of is the truth. What other people think you're capable of is none of your damn business. Your only business, and what I charge you with leaving this video, is to write down where you want to be. And then I want you to comment on any question that you have from this video in the comments on Facebook or on the blog page of April Yvette Thompson's writersroom.weebly.com. All right? Tell me where you want to be and ask me how you need to get there. I promise to respond, right? So, getting developmental work into the labs and in front of the mentors who can be a part of the process of getting your work done. Critical step. Most important step, right? Start pulling together a team. The team needs to be full of people who've done what you want to do, not people who are newbies just like you. If you remember nothing else, ask the questions, get into development, decide where you want to be, and that will help you finish writing. I promise it's a wonderful circle. I'll see you next time, and I'm going to talk about when you're stuck in the middle of a script and you don't know what to do. Maybe the end's done, the beginning's done, you're stuck in the middle. I'm going to talk about that in our next video, so stay tuned. Take care. Bye.